Hello and welcome to this Accomplished Beginners Blender tutorial number 23, and this will continue to work with hair, and of course it's implemented through particle systems. These two Suzannes have the same particle system except for the way the children are formed. So if I turn this on and turn off the children, you get the regular spikes, and that's true for that one too. So they're the same particle system, just different children. So if I press F12 to render that, this is what you get. That doesn't look very hair-like. So we'll go back to 3D view here and turn on the interpolated children for both. So let's just examine. We can also render these just to see what that looks like. And let's examine the factors that form hair. And of course, there's always lots of tweaks that you want to do. All I'm doing here is just demonstrating the factors that have a great impact on what the hair looks like. So except for the material that you're using, there's the render panel, where if you render strand render or not, and this one here will turn the strand render off, and this one here we can keep it on, and we'll do that also. And you can see that in the strand render case, the one closest to us is a little bit lighter and the kind of wispier, thinner hairs, even though the materials are exactly the same. You can see this looks more like wire or something. So if you want to use if you don't want to use the strand render, you have to think about that when you create your material, that it has to be a little bit different to give the same result, or a result that is what you're looking for. So let's look at this one here, and we can turn something more off. We can turn off the kink, and then we can change the length. I'll also lower the amount of display. I can take only 5 there, so we can see a little bit more the individual strands. And if I increase the length, 1 means it's as long as the parents are, and then there's fractions of that. So that's how that works. And another thing is the endpoint rough, and that does that. So if we have a little bit greater length, then that endpoint rough comes out like that. And also if we turn on wave, for instance, and then you can see that the endpoint rough kind of turns the strands like that. And also you can change the shape of that to some degree. Just keep that, and if we change the amplitude there to 0.02, and I can increase the frequency to, let's say, 5. Then when I change this around, you'll see how it, so to speak, bends and twists. So let's turn back to 2 and 0.0, let's say 5, and then if we increase the length a little bit, so here we have more endpoint rough and there is less, and render that. And of course you'll have to work, tweaking it to find out something that looks more like hair actually, and you can actually make it look like hair. But in this tutorial we're just looking at the different factors that shape the hair. what I want to do here is on this one here, I want to turn on the strand renderer and also increase the endpoint rough a little bit more so we can look at that and render that and see how relatively wispy the hairs look. So this is something that you have to work with and basically, trial and error your way through so that you get a hair that you like. This is it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, I'll talk about the hair dynamics and some of the limitations that are on that in the present version of Blender. So I'll call this good for this tutorial, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.